Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. I think it's time to do a little bit of a project update video, and also I would like to do a bit of a garage tour because I have done a lot of changes to the garage for the last few weeks, bought some new tools and reorganized a little bit, and I would like to give you a tour. I'm sitting on the lift, which I think is the second most important investment that I have done in this garage. The biggest and best investment I did was I rebuilt this shed into this garage. This was just an old outhouse pretty much, asbesto roof, no insulation whatsoever, but I did do a lot of projects and it was my first workshop. Before that I worked on the side of the road on my car, so that was a big upgrade. 4 years ago now I restored this garage. I have insulated it, I put on a new roof, got rid of all that asbestos that it really didn't like. Got a heating solution out here, better lighting, and removed some walls and actually made that garage door down there. Before it was only one there. And also there were no windows really in the old building. I got that now. So that was the most important thing in my garage. It's the garage itself. The second best investment I have in the garage is the lift. By far. It took me a long time to decide which one to use. This one is a Ravigioli, I think it's called, scissor lift. It's movable, which is great. I can just put on some wheels and drive it around in the garage if I need it down there, if I need the space for other things. And in theory, I can drive it outside if I need to pressure wash underneath the car, something like that. It's a great lift. This one is extremely expensive from new. I bought it used. You can get cheaper models that looks just like them. I don't know if it's just as good, but it's a great lift. All lift types, in my opinion, got positive sides and negative sides. This one is lifting on the sills, so when I have to do rust work on the sills, this lift is not very good. On the other hand, I have no problems opening the doors and all that with this lift because there are no posts in the way. So there's just so much things to consider. Of course, it would be nice to have a lift that could lift the cars high enough for me to stand underneath. That would be great, but it's not possible. My roof is not higher than this, and it's not called Seaside Garage for no reason. This is pretty much on the seaside. In Denmark, we have a lot of regulations about building stuff on the seaside. Therefore, I cannot just raise the roof. I would have to go through so much bureaucracy to do that. It could be possible, but it would be expensive and take a long time. So I opted for this solution. So when I have to work underneath the car, I have to crouch down. Not the best thing in the world, but it's way better than just a hydraulic jack and some axle stands. So this was a game changer for me. And this is pretty much the primary work space I use. I built this really solid table using a metal bar and some other stuff so it's really, really sturdy. And I can do so much stuff over here, working on engine parts and all that. I got tools and different kinds of split pins and circlips and all that in this. So yeah, I'm working a lot at this bench. For a long time I have been dissatisfied with this one because it's so small, but it's usable still. But a couple of weeks back, I actually visited the guy who I bought the NSU from, and he had a much bigger vise than mine. So, and it didn't really have any use for it, so I actually bought that. So I have made another workstation, which I don't think any of you have actually seen. And it's over here. This is a part of the reorganizing of my garage. I didn't have this before, only this one. This is where I store all oil, paints, rust prohibitor, and all of my special tools. There is a gas tester for a carb adjustment in here. There's a smoke detector. There's a gas mask, an extant fuel tank. This was the one I used to test the Trabant to see how far I could get on 1 liter of fuel. Then up here I got a lot of different kinds of special tools like this. It's a head gasket tester setup, the chemical version of it, so I can test for combustion gases in the coolant system. I have lots of different stuff up there to change bearings and leak down tester and all that. It's stored up here. Over here I have glue and more rust protection, and my shrinker and stretcher tool is in there. And then here is the new vise, and it's not new, it's really old, it's really battered up. The jaws are not really straight and all that. It could be fixed, but this is going to be my hardcore vise used for the heavy kind of work. It really clamps on tight, and I can hammer it, and it's bolted to the floor and all that. I think I'm going to use this quite a lot. The rest of this corner is pretty much set up for metal work. I got the bender. I got my metal bender right here, ready to be put into the vise. I got my welder over here, and my anvil kind of thing over here, and then a lot of tools. In here I got grease and oil, sandpaper, tape, filler kind of stuff, cleaning agents and all that. And this is my old school tool cabinet. And it might sound a little bit silly, but having one of these with all your tools and getting it under your skin where the things are is really an important thing when you're working on cars, because as you can see, there is no writing on the drawers or anything like that, but I know exactly what lies where. Even though it's a big mess down there, I know exactly if I need some kind of plier, it's over here. A lot of pliers. I need a screwdriver, it's here. If I need some kind of spanner, it's down here. This is the extra spanner drawer. I got a lot of them. These I often use to cut down to make special kinds of spanners. If they don't really fit, sometimes they need to be a bit thinner or something like that. Then I can cut them up. Down here I got electrical stuff. Ignition timing gun and dwell meter and all that. Down here I got masks. Down here it's pullers and clamps and stuff like that. This one is full of hammers. This one is grinding stuff. Over here we have really big sockets. And an empty one. I actually forgot what was in there, and the reason was it was empty. So this is a great thing. And no, the drawers are really hard to get in and are not sliding in and out like an expensive snap-on model of this, but this is just fine. And yes, it does. It is possible to move it around in the shop if needed. And the table on top of it is pretty sturdy, so it can be used to have a gearbox on or something like that if I'm working on stuff. This is nice. And over here is the main storage part of my garage. I'm actually working on putting a lot more of the stuff that I don't regularly use to my storage facility, because my garage is rather small actually, and it's difficult to get room enough to work on stuff, especially if I take an engine out of a car, then I can't move it, and then I just have to fix it up and get the engine back in to be able to work on other stuff, and that's a bit of a shame. So sometimes I am thinking about taking this one down, because then I could have a car this direction over here, which would be nice. But it's also really good to have storage space. I got all the different kind of stuff, the bolts and all that. A pipe bender up there, the hydraulic pump for the hydro gas systems, and so much stuff is over here. The oven for heating up aluminum cases when you remove bearings, for instance, or powder coating stuff. And a vacuum cleaner. And down there is another tool that I'm really happy I own. It's the Auto Whip, the Danish invention. I made some videos about it. It's a scaffolding kind of system that you attach to the wheels of the car. You can actually get some add-ons, so you can attach it to the front and the back of the car. I don't have them, unfortunately. But this one just attaches to the wheel and makes it possible to flip the car onto its side. And this, like my lift, is a game changer, because rust underneath cars is so difficult to fix while lying underneath the car or under the lift, because you get so much welding spatter in your face and all that. This way I can stand up working on the underneath of the car, no problems. And it's a really great invention, this one. I am really happy about it, and as you can see, it's not taking up a lot of space actually. Although this could really go to my storage facility, because it's rarely used. It's not something that I spontaneously start using. It's always planned when I use it. But it's a great thing. This is another thing that I'm really happy about. I really like old antique kind of stuff, especially used old stuff. And this is a really special item. As far as I know, it comes from a Danish brush factory making brushes and brooms and all that. And it's really special because, yeah, there's a lot of small drawers, but they are really long, as you can see, really long. So it's so useful for so much stuff. And I get so much storage and organized storage out of this little thing. For instance, right here, we've got big spanners. That's so difficult to find a space for. Down here is a lot of different kind of gaskets and O-rings, and this one is full of small springs. Not full of, but I think you get it. We've got connectors, things for soldering, duplicate clips and all that. It's just a great way to store a lot of things. And right here I got nuts, bolts and washers. And each and every time I take something apart that I have to scrap, I remove all the nuts and all the washers and put them down here, because it's so good to have different kind of weird sizes. You never know what you might need in the future. So I'm trying to keep as much as possible before scrapping stuff and putting them in there. Then I got my hydraulic press. It's something that takes a lot of space, but it's really useful. And then in front of the lift, we have this part of the garage. And this is where I'm standing almost always when I work in engine bays, because the car comes in through there, and then the engine will be right here. So therefore I made this wall of tools, and you can do so much stuff without leaving this location. I got all the spanners, I got screwdrivers, I got ratchets and tops for those, and I don't even know what these are called in Allen key. It's called an umbraco in Danish. And screwdrivers up here, DVOMs and all that kind of stuff. And these small ratchet style thingies, I love them. It's just a great place. And then there is this station. The computer is right here. I can put on music from this location and Google stuff. I Google a lot when I'm in the garage. And also I got a lot of drawers down here with different kind of stuff. Gasket material. Things for fixing up threads, for instance. And brake line tool, flaring tool and all that. Stuff, cables. Just a lot of different stuff that I need. And this is the really nice corner of the workshop to stand in, because right here is the heater. It's a nice place. I also got my ultrasonic cleaner standing over here. Different kind of oils and stuff up there, and my compressor. It took me a long while to decide which kind of compressor I needed. I tend to always buy my stuff used. You will see one exception. Maybe you can see some of it right there. But I normally always buy stuff used because it's a lot cheaper, and very often you get a lot better quality for a lot less than buying some kind of cheap product. This one I bought because I wanted something that made it possible to spray paint. You need a pretty huge amount of air available when you spray paint using a professional spray gun, because you don't want the pressure to drop and rise, so you need a buffer. Normally you would need a big tank. This one is only 90 liters, so it's a bit on the small side, but it's really able to make a lot of air in no time. The electric engine is really big, and it's doing a great job. It is sounding a bit rough. I don't know if it's supposed to do that, but it's been doing that ever since I got it. I do have a plan about building a shed for this outside, because it's noisy, it takes up room, and also part of me is always a little bit worried about stuff like this blowing up. I know it's not really likely, especially not on a well-maintained thing, and I'm really maintaining it a lot, emptying out the water and so on, but it would just be nice to have it outside. Then I have this moving tool cabinet with a lot of different tools. I'm actually not using it that much, so I'm considering getting rid of it. It's really a nice one, and I wanted one for so long, but I tend to just use my tool wall and the orange thing over there in the corner, so I don't use this a whole lot. And this is the door leading into my home. I live just behind this door, and it's so nice to be able to just go out in the garage in your slippers from time to time and just look at everything before you go to bed. I really like to do that. Up there I have a lot of storage room. This is the highest part of my garage. It's going down this way. Therefore there is a lot of room up there that's not really usable. So I have a lot of boxes up there with different kind of stuff. And yeah, that's just nice. And then I have made a pretty huge investment 2 weeks ago, I think. I was actually watching a video with Soup Classic Motoring. I will leave a link in the description because you should check him out. He's a really cool bloke, having a lot of cool projects. At the moment he's working on a Lotus Esprit, which is pretty much my dream car, so it's really interesting for me. I watched one of his videos the other day where he fixed up the brake calipers on that Lotus, and then he just sandblasted those calipers, and the result was just so amazing. And I know that, but I was just mesmerized about the ability to make stuff not only work, but also just look a bit nicer. And also using a wire brush and metal is just so time consuming, dusty, and I just fell in love with the idea of a blasting cabinet, and then I went ahead and bought this. And this was not cheap. I actually had to sell one of my Velo Solexes, but it's really a nice item. So far I'm really happy about it. Haven't really used it for a lot of stuff yet, but it seems to do the job really efficient. Up here we can power it on if it's connected to the. Up here we can power it on. Right here we have light, so there's light inside there. And this one is really noisy. But this is a dust cyclone that sucks the air out of this into the box right there, which is just a big vacuum cleaner actually, with a cyclone system inside of there. So by opening the flap down there, I can get the dust out of it. And if it's clean enough, and normally it is, I can actually just pour it back into the sandblaster and reuse it instead of just losing it. So it's a great add-on, quite expensive overall, but I really like it. The sandblaster got a door right here, and the same on the other side. And in here you got the gloves, a gun, and also a fixed gun up here that is operated with the pedal down there. That makes it possible to handle items in there using both your hands and then just the foot actuator. So this is really nice. It's a big thing. I bought both sand, corundum I think it's called, sand for it, and also glass beads for aluminum and stuff like that. And it seems to be a really efficient thing. I did a quick test on the cover for the NSU, and it looks so much better. So I think this is going to be a great investment for the garage. And right down there is the engine for the Mahari, and I think all parts can get in there and be blasted and cleaned up using this one, so that's pretty nice. Before taking a look at all the projects, I would just like to say thank you for all the support I get. I am at 7,200 and something subscribers now, and it's pretty unbelievable, to be honest. As many of you know, I am trying to make a living out of the stuff I do in the garage, the videos, helping other people with classic cars and stuff like that. And to be honest, it's pretty tough, but it's a lot of fun. If you are located in Denmark, remember you can actually hire me to fix stuff on your car. And if you like, I can also make videos about it, because that's the fun thing, I think. If that's something for you, there will be an email in the description and you can contact me right there. I am actually looking into maybe getting some kind of sponsorship for my videos. That could be nice. If any of you want to help me in this process, watching my videos, sharing them is one way to do it. Another way is the Patreon. That's a great way to help me out. There's a link in the description. Being a Patreon means you will get some stickers and you will get some behind the scenes update. For instance, I have a project car on the way, and I made a little quiz in there for the Patreon to guess with a little picture. They already guessed it. Let's talk about all the projects. I got the Saab 900 Turbo. The next step in the Saab is going to be fixing the rust on the drive shaft tunnel at the front, because that's the worst part of that project at the moment, and I would really like to get that tackled before I continue on. I already bought the repair panel, so I pretty much just have to dig in. The Austin Metro, the car that started Seaside Garage, is still in process. I'm actually waiting on some repair panels that I think maybe got lost in the mail, but there's actually not a lot of work before I can get that back on the road. Only some rust repairs at the headlight area and some rust repairs underneath, of course, and then it should be ready to go. The Datsun is right outside the gate. I'm going to bring it in and start working on that. I just got a used, it's not looking too good, but a used charging relay for that, because I think it turns out that the relay on my Datsun is not the correct one, so maybe all the issues are just down to it being wrong. So I'm just going to try with that used one and see if that works. The Lada, as you know, I have been working quite a lot on that lately, having the gearbox out, trying to fix the jumping out of fourth gear problem. I got the gearbox back in 2 days ago, and the problem is still exactly the same. So the thing that I thought was wrong wasn't the problem. It wasn't the main issue, at least. All is not lost, because it turned out that the clutch plate was actually close to being worn all the way to the rivets, so it's not all lost. I was considering what to do next, because I have a 4-speed that might work that I could put in while I try to fix the 5-speed. At the moment, the Lada Niva is my daily driver, so I actually need it to work. I can't really have it off the road for too long. But then I actually got a message from one of you guys. A really good friend of this channel sent a message to me, offered a 5-speed with only 78,000 kilometers on the clock with no issues that he would give to me. Also, he offered to give me a complete 1.7 multi-point injection engine from the same car. So a low mileage engine with injection and all that. And right now I'm really considering if that could be a fun project to modernize my Lada Niva a little bit. It will most likely make it cheaper to run petrol-wise because of the injection. It got a little bit more power and a bit more torque, but not a lot. So it could be an interesting thing to do. But what I have chosen to do right now is to just drive the car with the missing, or not missing, but I just need to hold my hand on the gear stick when using fourth gear. The worst thing that can happen is that I destroy the gearbox completely, but that's just the way it is. So I'm just going to drive it for now until the weather gets good enough for me to drive something else, because there's so much salt on the road and I'm only going to use the Lada for that. But it could be interesting to do that engine swap on that, I think. Then there is the Princess. Next bit on the Princess would be to fix the rust, but it is really getting close to actually being MOT ready. But there's no really reason to do that right now, because I don't want to drive it in these conditions. Then there is the Mahari. I got the new frame right here, and I'm going to start working on that very soon using my sandblaster. My plan is to take the engine completely apart and investigate everything in there, sandblast all the parts, painting them, and making the engine look brand new. I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun thing. So my plans is to get the Mahari looking brand spanking new, and then just putting that wrecked old plastic body back on it, so it looks like a driving barn find that is just in great condition underneath. I like that kind of thing. The camper is just waiting on better times. It is really expensive to have a number plate, so we don't use it at all unless we're going on a trip. In 2 years' time, it's going to be 35 years old. That makes the road tax fall 75%, which will make a huge difference. So we are going to wait until then to really start using it, I think. And that is all. The NSU is over there, and I'm getting ready to fix the rest of the engine and getting it back on the bike. And then that's pretty much it for the projects, other than the project that is on its way. I was actually gifted a car by one of you guys, which is on its way. It's a really funny car. I never owned one before. And I think it's going to be a really interesting project, but I haven't seen it. I know nothing about it. It could be a complete disaster, so maybe it will just be a parts car. I really hope it won't. I'm going to do my best to fix it up. I just don't know what I'm going to receive, but that will be in a future video. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm going to go in and edit this video so it will be out today. It is right now Monday the 6th of February, and I really like to get my videos out the same day as I film them. I just think it's so much fun to know that you guys are almost looking over my shoulder, and the comments that you give me can sometimes help me a huge amount, because I'm still working on that item that we are talking about. So that's a great thing. See you in the next one.